Hi, we're One Hen, Two Ducks, a grown up theater kids podcast.
And today we're talking about auditions.
Don't come near me. Don't anyone come near me. I'm not threatening anyone. You all say you don't remember Vince. Okay, fine. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's Vince that's crazy. Maybe he made the whole family thing up. You know what? I don't even care anymore. I was just coming along for the ride. I thought it'd be a nice gesture. Besides, I was curious. He made all of you sound so familiar to me. For every name, I had an image. In fact, each of you was so clear in my mind that I actually believed it was you. Real people. People with faces. But I don't recognize any of you. Not one. Not even the slightest resemblance.
Yay! It's time. It's
Yes,
time for an episode about auditions.
Dude, how do you feel about auditions, Megan? Like in general, how do you feel about auditions?
Auditions are rough, man. I know you used to dip your toe into the acting
Oh, yeah.
field, so I know you have a little bit of experience on both like actor and director side of auditions, right?
Yes, I do. I have course theater auditions for acting. I even auditioned for Juilliard, which, by the way, spoiler alert, it was the best experience I've ever had, even though I didn't get in. It was the literal best audition ever.
When did you do that?
I did that in 2000.
Wow, nice.
Yes,
Good for
so
you.
quite a while ago. I already had 2 kids. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was trying to follow a dream. You know, you got to follow. Even did film auditions in LA, lots of them. And seeds to commercials to so I've had really great experiences, and then like Juilliard, like I was saying, and I had really terrible ones.
I've had some pretty rough ones. Do you remember your first audition ever?
Ever?
Yeah. Do you know what it was for?
Dude, yes, I actually do. I was 12, and it was for a library production at the West Library in Las Vegas, and I was playing this imaginary character that could do nothing, and went and traveled through all these worlds where I learned that I do have a special gift that I could grow things, apparently. Experience as well. What about yours? What was I'm really curious to hear what
my
yours
first
was.
one, I think my first one was for a production of Peter Pan, non-musical production of Peter Pan, by the way, like a play. And I think I was 10. Yeah, I feel like I was 10, and I booked the role of Wendy. It was community theater. And I remember that, like, taking it so seriously because I couldn't believe I got it. And that was like back when, and I believe that audition went like some sides, and I read with a couple people and we all switched up roles, but I knew I really wanted Wendy. So I tried like a little extra hard for Wendy, and I ended up booking, which was great. But I remember my audition into high school. Because we had to audition to come to our high school because it was a theater, including our producer. We were all in the same class actually, which is crazy. But yeah, we auditioned to get there, and then they prepared us to audition then for college, and then college prepares you to audition for professional life, hopefully. Yeah, and I remember my first audition in New York City as well. When I moved to New York City 8 years ago, I did an equity principal audition, but as a non-union actor, because I was non-union, and it was for Mamma Mia, and it was a required call, which means they're not actually looking for people, but the union requires you to hold auditions every couple of months to make sure, like, just to have a fresh group of people. So there weren't a whole lot of people there. And the way the EPA works is there's 8 hours of auditions with 1 hour of like a break time. So there was a good amount of people. I got seen after lunch, I believe. And I just went in and sang like for a minute, a 32 bar cut of who knows what. I don't even remember now. But I remember walking out and being like, I know that was a required call. I know they're not looking for anybody, but I just did my first New
You
York
go,
audition.
girl. We're from Las Vegas, so New York was big dreams, right? People, it was big dreams. This was nothing like oh, we just walk down the street and we're in New York City. This is like a committed dream, and a lot of us, though we all went to a performing arts school, though we all had that dream, most of us actually didn't get to New York. But so that's why I was very proud that you did. And I remember seeing it on social media, and I'm like, she's actually going for it. Here I am busting out children, and she's actually doing things. And I was just so proud of you. Mm-hmm.
Listen, by the time
She's
I
doing
finally
things.
like got the balls to move to New York City, you were already in movies and stuff. So like you
Okay, when
already
she says
had.
I was in movies, I want to clarify. I was an extra, people. But so when it comes to auditions specifically, Megan, how, as an actor, especially auditioning for theater and Broadway at that, like, how do you prepare? How is your experiences? What is your point of view? What is your perspective of auditions as an actor?
Um, well, it's interesting because I, I've been doing this like professional auditions for a long time, and for a long time when I first moved to the city, as I was kind of learning the ropes, because straight out of college, I was noticing that there were some things that were kind of out of date that I learned in college that I was, getting hip to in the city. But I feel like that happens everywhere. You have to find this audition culture. And I kind of got too deep into it, and I was getting all the same shoes everybody else had, and I was wearing the same dance clothes everybody had, and I was wearing the same clothes everybody had, and I was singing songs specifically that I thought that the casting directors would want to hear, even if that meant like finding something 2 days before and not really being prepared on it, just trying to find something that worked for that specific show or that part that I really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I would usually go in there like very nervous. Sometimes I would mess up. Like especially like when I first started being a non-union actor, I'm there all day. And sometimes I'm running around different rooms, different buildings, different city blocks, trying to get seen at any one of these auditions. And when you're that exhausted from just the haul of it, because you wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m., ride a train, get down there, hauling a bag with everything in it, your songbook, your dance clothes, your clothes you need later to change into work, your makeup, your hair products, contacts, eye stuff, like anything you possibly could need, snacks, coffee, and you still have to run around like crazy. And it didn't really change much when I became an equity actor, when I became a member of the union. Yes, I could sign up online, but then once those online signups were full, I still had to go down super early in person and sign up in person and find a time slot for myself. There were things that got easier, but my mindset was still the same of I need to portray myself a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
when I first started, I feel like I was very disciplined in my schedule, very disciplined in my I know this sounds weird, but like diet and activity level, because sometimes being an actor
Mm-hmm.
means
Yeah.
like you're training like an athlete, because sometimes that's
Mm-hmm.
what it is. And in order to run around and carry this heavy bag
That's
and
a
do all the
workout in
things you need to do,
itself.
sometimes you have to be, yeah, you have to be an athlete in order to have stamina in order to do this. And I was really taking good care of myself. And then for a while there, I wasn't. And in the year 2018, I didn't book a single show. I
Oh.
didn't get anything. I auditioned for hundreds of things and I didn't get anything. And I even wrote a cabaret called Summer in the City, Songs from Shows We Didn't Book This Season. And it was an hour, and we did it like a couple of times because it kept selling out, because there were a lot of people that were feeling the same way, that you
Mm-hmm.
try so hard and you give so much and nothing happens. And after so much of that, it wears you down emotionally
Mm.
and physically, and you start kind of unraveling, and you start
Yeah.
walking in less prepared. You start walking in with less good energy. You start walking in already defeated, and you start walking in sometimes even a little desperate.
Mm.
And I remember it was New Year's Eve 2018, and I had an audition on January 5th of 2019. And I said to myself, and I like had a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
And I sat by myself for like 2 hours and I was like staring at nature. And I said, I am not going to do this year. I don't care if I don't book another show, but I'm
Right.
not going to be in the same mindset I was in 2018. I'm going to go
Good.
into this year completely different. And I am going to wear the clothes that I want to wear that make me feel comfortable, make me feel powerful. Yeah, if I'm auditioning for something a little bit more classical, maybe I'll wear something a little more conservative or powerful feeling. And if I'm auditioning for Rent, maybe I'll wear something a little more fun and funky. But it's still going to be something that is 100% me. And that when the people look at me, when the casting directors, when the directors, when producers, whoever looks at me, they know that this is me. I'm going to sing the songs that I want to sing that make me feel powerful and happy, that bring joy to me. I'm going to take out everything that doesn't bring me joy in my book. I'm going to Marie Kondo my book and take away everything that doesn't bring me joy. And I'm going to put my book, I'm going to sing only songs that make me happy to sing. And guess what? I booked that show on the 5th.
Oh, I
booked
bet.
it, and it was for a show at the Public Theater, which was my first off-Broadway production, which was massive for me.
Massive.
Which was like, I went from not booking anything for a year to booking an off-Broadway production.
I was so proud.
Thank you. I booked a national commercial that year, and I booked a leading role in a regional theater that year too. And I was obviously ready to ride this wave into 2020. But if I could say anything about the way auditions are going for the future, and I know we can't ever know what's going to happen, but if anything, people are going to want to see you. People are going to want to see exactly who you are. They don't want you to be fake. They want you to come in and show your best self. If you had 30 seconds to tell someone all about who you are in the most joyous way, even if you're singing a sad song, how would you do it? You know what I mean? How would you show them that? You would show them by being a professional and doing the work and being disciplined, but also being you.
100%.
And that's my biggest takeaway with auditioning. I used to look at it as something so terrible and awful and like, I can't do this anymore. But changing my mindset has really changed everything about what comes out of me. So
good. And I'm so glad you found that. Now, as Megan mentioned, now I'm more on the directing side, and that's not. I know some people say, and I've heard it said, that if you can't do, you either teach or direct, but that's not necessarily true. Because I don't think I'm a terrible actress.
I need to get in here because you are absolutely not a terrible actress. You are actually an incredible actress. And me and several other people and our teachers were stunned when you didn't go into like more of an acting field, which you still can at any point in your life. It's never too late. I'm just saying.
That is true. Our theater teacher was, I'll say it in the nice words, but he was very angry at me for not auditioning for colleges to do theater. By that time, I was focusing on writing. I wanted to be a screenwriter and work in films. And he thought that I was wasting my life. He was 100% wrong, but at the same time, I did learn a lot of things. But anyway, I did get into directing later on, more kind of happenstance and writing. But I truly found more joy in doing those two things, writing and directing, than I did in acting. Acting still brings me a lot of fun, I would say, then give me fulfillment, if that makes sense. And so that's why I choose it, not because I can't act or I don't want to act, but because I feel a greater sense of fulfillment directing and writing. But I am glad that you talked about being yourself. And from there, that's when you got parts. Because as a director, first of all, I must say, in the director's point of view when it comes to auditions, you have to understand that the director is the visionary, if you will. So they see everything. We see everything. We already got the script from the writer. We read it like 1,010,000 times. Or if you're like me and I wrote it, then I still read it 1,000,000 times. Like, what did I read? What did I write? But what did I do? But even still, we read it 1,000,000 times, and we already see everything. We already see, if it's a stage show, we already see the lights. We already see the blocking to some extent. We already see the set. We already see what we basically want. And if it's film, we already see the camera angles. We already see the shots. We already see the transitions. We see kind of everything. And we, to a certain extent, already see the type of actor we want for each character. So when we go into an audition, at first we are sort of looking for that one that meets the vision, the one that meets what we've already been imagining for months, if not weeks. And but I must say that you can change our minds. This does not mean that if you don't fit our initial thought and our vision, that it's hopeless. That's not true. That's why we still open it up, because a good director still believes they can be wrong, and a good director wants to be proven wrong, or wants to be surprised. But I must say that it's not personal. As an actor, I remember doing auditions like we talked about, and when I didn't get a role, or when I had terrible directors producers tell me, oh, well, your eyes are too dark, or you're too dark, or I wasn't looking for someone like you, type of things, and I'd always take it personally. I'd always be like, well, something I did wrong. Even with Juilliard, it's something with me. It's something about me that was wrong, and that's not true. It's not personal. It's not about you, unless you went in there acting a hot mess. Now that's a completely different thing. Then it is you.
Then it is you.
But most often than not, it is not you. It is who we are serving the show. We're serving the show. We do have a boss over us. We do have the producer over us, but we are also serving the story and the show. And whoever is going to fit that best is who we're looking for. So it's not only you as the actor and how you're taking this character, but it's how you fit in the ensemble as a whole. That's what callbacks are for. It's like, okay, I seen something. Callbacks are for. It's like, okay, I seen something in you that I like, that you're, and sometimes you are fitting my vision. This is going great, or you surprised me. But now I want to see how you react with others. So that's a key thing, because if you come in and you're great by yourself, but you can't flow with anybody else, that's not going to serve the show. That's not going to serve the story. And so I cannot pick you. I look for three things. And I kind of call it the PPP, which is preparation, passion, and potential. So when it comes to preparation, and I love what you were saying, a part of that is your kind of your are you mentally and physically prepared? Meaning, like, if I'm casting Rocky, I already am not going to hire someone who is not physically prepared for Rocky. You should already know that as an actor, but if you come in, don't get mad that I don't cast you because you weren't physically prepared for Rocky. You know this character, you know what you're supposed to be doing, so I need you to be physically fit. And then when it comes to mentally fit, are you mentally ready to take on the character and the responsibility of being in a show? Are you weeping every 5 seconds because you broke up with your boyfriend and you just can't get over it? And you're like, I'm sorry, I can get back into character. I can't use that. You're not mentally prepared. Come back when you are. So that's a big thing. Another thing, preparation is shown on, are you on time? Are you memorized? I mean, even if it's a cold read, are you at least practicing? Like, I can tell by someone who is spending their 10 minutes out in the hallway rehearsing, and someone who just didn't even care and then came in the room and never even read the script. I can tell. There's a big difference. And that to me shows that you're not prepared and that you don't want this. At least be practiced, if not if I'm asking for monologues, be memorized. Because again, that just shows me that you want this, that you're taking this seriously, and that I should take you seriously. And I can also see history of training. Now, as a director, I don't pin myself on trained actors, but it is a plus, because again, it shows me that you're serious. It shows me that you're not just wanting to be famous, that you're not just trying to serve yourself and trying to just like, oh, I just am going to come in here and just dilly-dally and somehow become this great actor. No, I can tell if you're trained as an actor, and to me it shows that you're taking this seriously.
I was gonna say, how much do you rely on, like, just your vibes of someone? Like, if there's a audition that's super short, how much are you relying just like a feeling you get on someone?
Oh, huge. If the audition's over and I feel like I want to spend more time with you, I'm going to spend more time with you. I may not make the producer very happy, but I'm going to spend more time with you. I'm going to see I'm going to see what else I can get from you, or at least I'm going to definitely call you back. Because vibes are 100%, for me. I can feel the energy of someone. And if you give me a terrible audition, but say you're still memorized, but I can tell, I know nerves get in, and I'm not going to get on you with nerves, because sometimes that's really hard to hone in. Yes, I know people get off days, so I'm not really big on nerves. But if I see what you have, and I feel it, then and there's something in me that's going, give her a second chance, give him a second chance. I'm going to follow that. I'm going to definitely follow that. But yes, and the last thing I wanted to talk about was what you were talking about, being another part of being prepared is the dress. Now, of course, I do want you to feel 100% confident in who you are and yourself, and I want you to, like you said, feel empowered by what you're wearing, but please do not show up with your boobs and your butt hanging out.
You know what I heard from a casting director once, and it made total sense. And I was like, yes. He said, dress like you would dress if you were going on a first date.
Yes.
To a nice dinner, to like,
yes,
not necessarily a nice dinner, but dress like you would if you were going on a first date. And you knew you were going on a first date. Like, you want to show your best self. You don't necessarily like, maybe you are auditioning for something real sexy, so you do a little like this and a little that and a sparkly heel. But you also don't have to be like going to the club. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I'm kind of the person that I tend to like extreme, casual, business casual, if that makes sense. But not like business casual where it's stuffy, but to where you're presenting yourself well. And then when it comes to callbacks, then I'll tell you to bring your jazz pants and your shoe, your move around shoes, so that we can move around. But your first initial one, I want to see your best foot forward, because again, it tells me that you're serious, that you want this, that you are someone that I should take seriously. Which then moves into passion, the second P. Passion is really, really, like you were saying, that's where I'm getting those vibes. Is this something you really want to do? And I can tell by, are you willing to take direction? Are you fluid? Are you responsive to me? If I say, okay, can you do this as an animal? And you're like, what? or hey, can you now do this role? And if you're like, oh well, I actually didn't want this role, I only read for this, that just shows me you're not willing to work with me. You don't have passion for just the show or artistry as a whole. So I'm like, well, then I don't really, again, need you. Yes, if I ask you, if I'm wanting to collaborate with you, if I'm wanting to feed off of you, then that tells me a lot about who you are, which goes into like, if you're collaborative, are you, when it comes to collaboration, that's truly collaboration. I, as a director, yes, again, I have the vision. I do know what I want, essentially, but I do want to hear you. Because again, that goes back to passion. I do want to know what you're adding to this character. One of my favorite stories is Johnny Depp doing Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one specifically, because he didn't, his whole swaying and his almost drunkenness was not a part of anything. They just wanted him to be a pirate and but his slurred speech, his reasoning of being always unstable because he wasn't used to land, was his idea. And as a director, that is brilliant. I want that. And I want your take on the character. I want to see what you do with it. So are you willing to collaborate? Because that just shows me, again, that you're passionate. And the other passion part is, are you respectful? Are you respectful to me? Are you respectful to the cast members? Are you respectful to the ensemble? Are you respectful to the stage hands and the creatives behind the stage? Because it drives me crazy when an actor thinks they're above anybody else in the show. I don't care if it's a costumer who is zipping up your pants. You are going to respect that person. And if you're not, then we're going to have some talks and discussions, because you are a part of something. You are not the part. My last P is potential. Potential. Again, I might have had a vision, and I know exactly what my character looks like, sounds like, walks like, talks like, does every scene like. But can I see more from you? If I see you and I'm looking at what you're doing, can I see more? Do I want to see more? Are you making me itch for more? Whether you take whether you're hitting my vision for it or completely not. Do I want to see more of you? And a part of that is you yourself. Yes, it's the character can always be developed. I can't really develop you. You're who you are, So do I want more of Megan? Do I want to get to know her more as an artist? Do I want to work with her more? Do I want to explore with her more? Do I want to travel and go into these places with this character more with her? That's going to be a big factor. And will you make this part your own? Will you own it? Or do I have to like sit there and line feed you? Or do I have to sit there and feed like help you every step of the way? Or are you going to own this and run with it? So again, just to wrap it up, or just to like wrap up my part and my perspective, be prepared, come with passion, and let your potential show. Let your potential shine. Let who you are go. Nice. And I'm telling you, Megan, that is why you started getting, like, as you were explaining it, and I was like, oh yeah, I would hire her then too, because it matters. It matters. It totally we can tell matters. And we can feel it. It does matter. It 100% matters.
It's like what you said, if someone walks in and you just get like a creepy vibe from them, yeah. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same like if someone walks in and you can tell they're already upset. You know what I mean? Like, or they're already exhausted, or they're already just like drained, like tired and sad. Mm-hmm. You can feel that on somebody, even if they're trying to be like, yes. like, hi, nice to see you. It's just, you can feel it. And I think, one of the things moving forward, because, sometimes, especially in theater auditions, there's something called a holding room, which is a big room where a bunch of actors sit waiting for their spot, to be called to go up and line up and audition. And we're all in there. And sometimes there's people in there all day. And it can be a place of great joy where you see old friends you haven't seen in a bit. It can be a place of, people just kind of banding together. If someone's like, I don't have a cell phone charger, and all of a sudden I have to send this text message, or does anyone have a curling iron, or you know what I mean? Like, people will help each other out. Yeah. But I think one of the biggest things that I really hope to see moving forward with auditions is a better culture in that holding room of people. Like, I know that auditions are competitions. I know that they're competitions, and it really sucks. And it feels terrible sometimes, but, and I know, like, sometimes we all sit there and we watch people come in and we judge them, and we think about their outfit, or we judge them. Like, are they really going to, like, I just heard them practicing, they're going to sing that song. Like, we get very mean about it sometimes. And I just hope that we, moving forward into the future, whatever it may be, if we are allowed to be in these holding rooms again, that somehow, like, we come in with a better mindset of judging other actors the way they prepare and whatnot. Like, what would you hope to see change in the future moving forward with auditions from like a director's point of view? What would you like to see?
Well, first I wanted to address what you said, because that is very true. And that's what one of the reasons why Juilliard was the best audition experience I've ever had, is because the holding room was a party. It was like so much fun. It was the first time I was in a holding room where we didn't see each other as competitions. We were genuinely, and this was I did my Juilliard audition in San Francisco, but we were in genuinely support of one another. Every time someone came out of the room, we clapped for them. Every time they went, we're like, go, good luck, we love you, you're gonna do great. Whenever they put up the first, because they would do batches of lists every like 15 people. And so they did the first batch and people wouldn't get in, we would hug them, we would encourage them, we would, love on them. And it was going into the audition room, I already felt so much better, because I didn't feel that pressure and that weight of, oh my gosh, all these people, and now I feel all these nerves and all these. I got to relax the entire time I was there because of the support that we had for one another. And I think that changes the atmosphere. If you cannot, yes, your competition, but if you can remember that you're artists first, and that you're all wanting the same thing. You're all wanting to do great things in this industry. And you all can do great things in different times, in different ways, but we should see each other as artists first, and we should see each other as people who are equal peers. These are our people. No one else in the world gets us, especially actors. No one else gets y'all. Y'all are crazy. No one else gets you, but you get each other. You are the ones that understand each other more than anyone else. So see them as your people, and it'll help the whole. You'll see, it'll make everything so much better. But as a director, moving forward, what I want to see, especially for fellow directors, is I'm tired of us being safe. We get safe with the roles we choose, with the cast we choose, with everything we choose. We try to get safe. And in being safe, we miss so many opportunities. That's what I love about shows like Bridgerton and things like that, where they took risks, where they said, we're going to cast this differently. Hamilton, we're going to cast this differently based on who we have, what we're trying to, of course, serve the show and the story. But I'm going to open my mind. I'm going to open that vision because, yes, I know there are some directors, because like I said, we already have it in our head. I know some directors are like, nope, this is it. I already see her as blonde. I've already focused on it. That's what she is. She's skinny and blonde and blue-eyed. That's it. But we need to open our minds and we need to be safe. Because another thing is that, and we need to go away from the business side of it and get back into artistry. Because business side says what's going to sell. And so sometimes directors go in their minds going, well, what's going to sell? I need this beautiful, chick and this really handsome man, because that's what's going to sell. They're not going to look at someone who's not maybe as attractive to most people. And we can't look at it like that. Are they going to serve the story, and are they good? Are they coming in and giving you the best, and are you getting chills in their audition? Then who cares? Then the audience is going to feel that. Let's get back to the artistry. That's what I really want to change. And that's what I love what Hamilton did, Thomas Kail did as the director. He went back to, who are you, actor, who is auditioning to me? Who are you as a human being? If you don't know that, by the way, go ahead and watch him off book Hamilton. You'll find out. But exactly. But yes, that's what how he came in, and that's what I feel like should be the future for directors.
I know that there's so many people always sometimes in New York, they end up seeing 300 people or something in a day. I know it's hard to just see them as artists and not as products, yes. But I agree. I don't blame casting or directing at all. I just think that that's just how the system is set up, and there's just so many people that it's difficult.
It's true. It's true.
But I also, I wonder if it could be a little bit of actors' responsibility to really step up and see each other more as artists instead of competition.
Yeah. And of course, the director is but we're actually going to talk to our producer of this podcast, who's actually a true producer. We didn't just give her a title.
We have a special guest.
Yes, but we are hired. Directors are hired from the producer, as we hire actors, and stuff. But and I know that some producers are really strict on the business side, and they, especially in film, they're very, very strict about what they want, and it does, to a certain extent, leave directors with very little wiggle room. Some still try to get their way, but it does leave a little wiggle room. So you do have to sometimes see that it is bigger than what you think when it comes to casting. It is definitely not about you. It's about so many other facets going around. But yes. So let's
introduce our special guest today, which is our producer. She's going to give us the inside scoop on how producers look at auditions. Please welcome our producer for this podcast, Kristen Kidman.
Thanks, guys. This is fun.
Yes.
Hi, Kristen. Hey.
Hi, Kristen.
Hey, guys.
Will you give us a little bit of your thoughts as a producer? Tell us a little bit about your career as a producer. How'd you get into producing?
Okay, so I went to high school with the both of you. I was in pretty much every theater class. What?
Is that girl, that weird girl, that skinny chick? Beautiful little...
Who had all the boys?
All the boys.
Yeah, so I was a theater major with Selena and Megan at LVA. The difference between me and Selena and Megan is that I realized fairly early on that I actually don't like acting. But I had this amazing opportunity to be at LVA, to go to a theater school, and it was... I didn't want to give up quite yet, so it kind of took me a few years to really say, this isn't for me, because I just kept trying and trying and trying. But luckily for me, we had some really great teachers that kind of recognized that like, you really don't want to act, do you? No, I really don't. But they recognize that, you should look behind the scenes. There's no shame in that. And you're still part of the magic, but you're putting the magic together. And I realized that that's what I was good at, and that's what I should be doing instead of acting. So that's what I did most of my time at LBA, was work behind the scenes. So that led me into college, where I went to journalism school, because that was my other big passion. I love the news. I love broadcast, and I'm really passionate about that. I have worked at a few different news stations in town. I've been a news producer at those. And so there's a lot of auditions and things you could talk about there alone with reporters and how you're casting the newscast, casting stories and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then right now I am currently a producer for like a commercial production type of a company. So we do like commercials, we do corporate videos, we do charity videos, we do all kinds of things like that. So lots of casting involved. So disclaimer, I'm not casting plays, but I do cast some live events and things like that where actors are needed.
Still auditions.
Still auditions.
And still producing.
Yes.
It's true.
So my job as a producer is to represent the client. So the client comes to me and they say, this is what we need. This is what we're envisioning. So, for example, I had one a little while back where the client came to us for a series of videos that they were going to make, kind of like both commercial and explaining their product. And their big thing was, we need an actress with a spunky voice. Like we don't care what she looks like, but she just needs to have a spunky, fun voice, because this voice is going over a video that's explaining a lot of really technical things. So we need people to be able to stay tuned in and think that she's really fun to listen to. And it's going to show her face too, but they really were just so particular about this voice. And so when we were casting that, we had all these actresses come in, and they would have their serious voice, and then they'd come up like, "Hi, I'm da-da-da-da-da," and it kind of came off fake, But then we had one young woman come in, and just the brightest smile, and that almost was her natural voice, but she sold it because she was natural in herself and not like trying to do a chipmunk voice. So yeah, so that's my biggest thing, is we're working with the client to try to figure out what.
So you're working for someone too. See, everybody working for somebody.
Yeah,
everybody working for somebody.
Everyone's working for someone, baby.
And then from there, producers team up with the directors. They say, okay, we want to work with your vision because you're the artistic side of it. Well, we're the business side of it. So we kind of have to find some tandem way to work together to make the production work together as a whole.
Yes. Is that difficult, combining business and art? I can't even imagine. Oh my gosh.
Yes, well, because for me, like, I understand the art side of it too. I've been there too.
Oh, yes.
So sometimes my heart's just kind of like pulled in two different places, and there are a lot of times where I come back to the client and I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. Like, I really think you should reconsider how you're looking at this and maybe listen to the director because they have a really good idea. So I'm kind of like the leeway between the director and the client.
I love it.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you expect, or what do you want to see, or what's important to you as a producer when it comes to auditions and all the people in the line, from actors to directors to, crew, all the creatives behind the scene, because all of that is under you. The director doesn't hire those people. That's the producer. So what do you expect as a producer when it comes to that?
So my biggest thing that I could say is reputation is absolutely everything. In these fields, whether it's theater, whether it's news, whether it's productions, they're such small fields that people know each other. People know each other very well, and your reputation follows you wherever you go. So when I'm casting these things, like, you could be so talented, but if I've heard that you're a jerk on set, or that you're late, or that you call in, or anything like that, like, we're not going to want to work with you. And so you just know that your reputation does follow you. So
no Charlie Sheens.
No, please don't. Yeah, so we don't want to work with divas. Sorry, I know that that's like a Hollywood trope or whatever, but no, like, and one of you mentioned earlier, like, you were nice to the production assistants, and that shows. So,
it does.
And then, so besides acting, like, everything I'm saying applies to the production field in general too. So whether you're a camera person, whether you're a stagehand, whether you do sound or lighting, or like those reputations do follow you. And so when I am trying to put together a crew for a shoot or anything, I'm usually calling the same guys that I call all the time because I know I can trust them.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's true. So does aesthetic matter? Like, okay, for example, the difference between Martin Scorsese directing and Quentin Tarantino. Does that like matter to you as like depending on your client, like who you would hire, and then from there, of course, they have their, because if you notice, especially in film, Martin Scorsese always gets Leo. Like certain actors and directors are like tied to the hip. So does that matter for you? And do you, as a producer, like think about that whole part of it, like what you're actually trying to get for your clients?
Yeah, so what I do is I look at their aesthetic. I look at what they're trying to sell. Because remember, a lot of mine is in like commercial production. So I try to look at like who their target audience is, and then I try to match the person we're casting to fit that. So that somebody that's watching that commercial or watching that ad or product video is like, oh, we could be friends. Maybe I should buy this product. So.
Nice. I'm learning a lot, actually.
Like, oh, when you run the auditions for like actors, so they give you like the client gives you kind of what they want, right? In terms of like a breakdown for an actor, you go and run the casting call, let's say, right? Or sort of, you run the audition, and from there, what happens? Like you pick, like say you pick your top 5. What do you do after that? Do you present it to the client, or are you making those decisions?
So both. So like the most recent one we did, we had everybody send us a video, and then we watched the videos, and that was kind of nice. We didn't have to have like a call or anything.
Oh yeah.
And I sat down with the director, and we watched those videos, and we picked our top 2, the top 2 that we thought were the best ones, and then we took that to the client. And then the client from there picked the one that they thought was the best. But when we presented them, we didn't just hand them blindly. We said, this is why we like this person. This is why we like this person. We really think you should go with this one, but this is a solid plan B if we need to do it that way too.
That's cool.
Like, I don't like any of these people.
Yes.
Yes.
You need to go back to the drawing board.
Yes.
I bet doing it on video was a lot easier because it is hard. Especially when we get to the end and it's between just a few people and they're right in your face. And like, we care. Okay, directors, producers, we're not heartless. We do care about you. We do want the best for you. We are rooting for you. But we, again, have to serve the show, or what like the producer says, the client. So when we do get to the last few and you're all standing in front of us with your eyes, your cute little hope and your face, it is so hard.
Do you know what I've
never, so hard to say no.
I've never been able to figure out how, like, there's a thing called typecasting. Type out. And in New York, like, say there's 500 people that have showed up. The creatives have decided they want to type. You gather up everybody's, like, everyone's in a list. You gather up, say, the first 20 or 30 people. Get all 30 of them, get all their headshots in order. You take those headshots into the room. You bring the people in sometimes, and we just stand there in order.
Oh gosh!
In rows of 10, and they just kind of walk down right in front of you.
Yes,
and looking at circling your
head,
whatever. And they're like, "Okay, thank you," and then you walk out of the room. They get to the monitor.
Yep.
Like, these people, please stay. You know what I mean?
Yes. I had Peter Billingsley do that to me.
I mean,
Peter Billingsley with his blue eyes, because if you don't know who Peter Billingsley is, he's the one who played Ralphie in Christmas Story as a kid, who's now adult and a director. Nice. And he was helping Jon Favreau with Couples Retreat. And so he was casting like featured extras, and Vince Vaughn liked to give extras lines, which was really cool. But so he literally lined us all in a row and walked in. But see, at least you guys got where they at least walked away for a second. He would just go, no, yes, no, no, yes. Not that he was actually a nice guy, but that part of it was terrible as an actor. But I'm now looking into his perspective, now being on the other side, I'm like, I bet he hated it too. But I mean, he had to do what he had to do.
Sometimes you're so pressed for time and you got to be kind of ruthless. Like, Kristen, at any given moment, how many projects are you working on?
Yes.
Total at one time.
So at the moment, as we're speaking right now, I have 3 going.
3.
Like, there's time constraints on all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Theater, film,
yes.
everything. There's time is money. Like,
time is money.
The longer we stand here, the longer we're renting the space. The
right.
longer we got to keep the lights lit. You know what I mean?
And Kristen, is that like, especially when it comes to, because I know that's where I hear. I haven't had it where, you know, I got in trouble for that, but I have heard a lot of directors and producers getting on that when it comes to timing. Because, of course, a director with their artistic vision keeps wanting to work with the actors or wanting to give it more time. Or like I heard Bob Fosse was a terrible one to work with because he couldn't pick a shot or couldn't, you know, land on something that he just wanted. And they're like, dude, you got to go. How is that? Like, dealing with those constraints, like, yet wanting a good product. How do you deal with that? And how do you deal with that with the clients? I mean, I can't even imagine.
I mean, my job is timing, whether it is timing a shoot, timing you guys, timing anything. Like, I feel like my whole world revolves on timing things. So it is important, especially say we're renting out a studio. You have that studio for a set amount of hours, and you have to budget in time to set everything up, do your shoot, clean everything, and it takes hours to get those camera angles right, to get the lighting right, things like that. So time really is money in those situations, and one of the frustrations that I often have is that, like, a client that books us to do something has no concept of this time whatsoever, and like, you know, let's wait a few weeks to book this, or I don't really know when I want to do this shoot. And it's like, well, come on, like I have like 10 people I have to call to make this work. Like, we really need to get some answers now. So that's
right. Or have you had the ones where they're like, oh, I want this location, I want this shoot, I want all these different angles, and I want it done in 24 hours. Yes. And you're like, dude. Dude.
Yeah,
do you know?
Okay, so you have to keep in mind, sometimes, and not necessarily the crew I'm working with right now, but a lot of these people are also union. A lot of the photographers and videographers and sound people and lighting people, so they have like a very set amount of hours that they can work before they can be like, well, sorry, reached my budget, like, gotta go.
Wow.
So you really have to take that into consideration when you're planning out any kind of project. Is, do you have union people? How long do you have a studio for? What's that setup going to look like with your cameras and your lighting and everything? So,
do you also
figure out like
contracts with everybody? Wow, so much to do.
So much to do. I'm glad I'm on this side. The director doesn't have nearly as much as what you got to do. I get to have the fun part. You get to do all that stuff. But I'm glad that you find it fun.
I've always really liked organizing and just setting things up and then seeing it go through to fruition. That's always something cool. I really liked. So.
Yes, and that's so funny because the same thing with directing. The reason why I chose directing, because I love conceptualizing something in my head and then seeing it to come to life. All of a sudden it's there. And that's why I love coupling it with writing, because that's even double time. Like, this was just a paper, and now look, it's breathing. And then even as a director, this was just in my head, and now it's up in life, and it's alive. It's the best feeling in the world. What do you have, actor?
That's a great question. Okay, so as an actor, what I like the most when things come together, I'm going to use an example from a show that I was in. I was in a show called Around the World in 80 Days. And there was one moment in this show where I'm supposed to be standing on the edge of a boat with this other character. And we're supposed to be looking at the stars. And this show specifically transitions from different countries, different places. So the set pieces and the props that we have convert to different things. Or like for this scene specifically, we just got like a little railing of a boat. And that's supposed to be enough and lighting and whatnot, that's supposed to be enough to create the world that we are in, that we're standing on the edge of a boat. And I love that moment where just for a split second, I can step out of myself from the character as the actor and kind of just see it as like, this is happening. You know what I mean? Like, this feels so real. I know that there's lights. I know that this, there's this character. I know I'm wearing this funny costume. I know I'm standing on a stage. There's people right there and I've got a railing. But right now it feels so real. And that's, I feel like, what it's all about, is creating a world. And specifically in an audition, the moments that I live for as an actor are the moments that it really feels totally right. Like I'm singing something that feels totally right. Maybe I get handed a scene with someone and I'm doing a scene, and every choice like is just fire. You know what I mean? Like, and you can feel it in the room. Like it's just crackling all around you. Like it's not that you're thinking in your head, oh, it's going well, but more like I'm in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And we can see that. And that's why you got hired.
That's why I got hired. Sometimes.
Yes, because we can see you. I guess this is what I definitely want to leave you guys with too, is whatever is right is going to happen for you. I really truly believe that. I'm one of those eccentrics that believe that you are in something for a purpose. There's a reason behind it, whether it's something as simple as just because this is the right show for you, or something as big as you were meant to be in that room, meant to meet the people you were meant to meet, meant to influence and be influenced, meant to learn whatever lessons that you're going to learn, whether you book it or you don't. I believe that with 100% of my being. So whatever, if you keep going, you will get cast in something. Mm-hmm. The only way you're not going to is by stopping. Yeah. Is by quitting. I can't cast you if you quit, if you're not there in the auditions. Yeah. Even if you show up, honestly, if I was a director that, say I was in a community theater, right? And we did a production every year, maybe twice a year. And say one actor in particular kept showing up. I never cast them. Say I never cast them though. But they keep showing up. Every audition. Eventually, I don't care if they fit. I'm be like, let's put them in there. Put something. Give them something. We're giving them something. Because that, again, it goes back to passion. But if you keep trying, you're going to get your break. You're going to get it.
I don't know.
And you're going to improve with every audition too. Yeah. That's also a thing.
I don't know if there's ever been a person that has said, oh, never made it. Tried my hardest. Never made it. You know what I mean? Like, right. Yeah, like there are some people that said, I tried my hardest and I realized it wasn't for me. I tried my hardest and I realized I couldn't do it. That's I didn't have what it takes, and I got out of it. But never, like, you'll find these actors that find their success, and it doesn't have to be fame. You know what I mean?
That's the difference.
They find their success later in life because they've constantly stayed with it. And it doesn't matter, you know, what's on their resume or this or that. You know what I mean? Like all that matters. And like that's what they say is when there's nothing else for you, like this is what it is. Mm-hmm. Because you love this, because you love what you do, you're going to stick with it. Yes. And if you don't want to do it anymore, and you really truly want to find something else to do, great. Yeah. It doesn't mean you can't ever come back if you get that itch again, or doesn't mean that you're any less of a person because you had the stream and it didn't come out the way you thought it would. You know what I mean? I think it's so important to, if you really are committed to this, and this is 100% what you want, you continue to take those risks. You don't let yourself get burdened down, even though like you have to find how you get out of the holes of sadness and stuck. You have to get out of it. You know what I mean? Right. And keep going. You have to find how you do it.
If you're only trying to be famous, then this may not be the career for you, because very, 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 very few become famous. And if that's your only passion, I'm telling you, you're gonna feel all those icky feelings so much that you may not come out of that, because you're gonna get more no's than yeses, and it's just gonna be very difficult for you. And if that's your only goal and your only reason for doing this, then you're gonna get snuffed out real quick. But if this is your true passion, like if this is something you wake up thinking about, that you're like, I'm going to be an actor no matter if it's a high school play, community theater, library production, or Broadway, no matter what, I'm going to do my best in every single place I am. I'm going to continue doing it no matter whether I'm paid, not paid, working for a tiny $10 or whatever, whether I'm touring, whether I'm not touring, whether I have a tree part, or if I'm the lead role. If that's your passion, then yes, you keep going, because you are going to, like Megan said, that is where you find success. Because then for you, success doesn't mean Oscar. Success doesn't mean the star. And success means I feel good every single day. I wake up happy. I wake up, excited and dare I say blessed that I even get to do this, whether it's something little or something big. Passion has to lead you, not fame, not money. That's why we're doing this podcast. You think we get paid for this?
Patreon /
you get paid for this? Yes, exactly.
Yeah. If you want to check out last week's episode, which was our Ratatouille, the TikTok musical live reaction, or you want to check out the one before that, which was the Hamilton off book series where we dive deep into Hamilton, that's what you should do.
Yes. If you want to check out our shorts, say you're like, man, I can't commit to 30 minutes to an hour, then check out some of our 30-second to 1 minute shorts, yo.
What's next week's episode?
Ooh, next week, speaking of live reactions, speaking of happening musicals, we are having a live reaction to The Prom.
I have not seen The Prom. I actually didn't even see it on Broadway when it was there. I'm sorry. Sometimes this happens where a show will be on Broadway and I didn't see it, even though I lived in New York. I know it sounds crazy. Sometimes it happens, guys.
So you're not going to want to miss that. We have some great reactions and commentary on things.
It's going to be great.
We're funny people. Haha. It is going to be great. And if you, I bet you guys have tons of opinions about it too. So we're always open to conversation. So definitely leave us comments, even on this. You heard 3 perspectives of auditions. I'm sure you got some stuff to talk about. So I'm sure you got questions, thoughts, adding on to the conversation. If you, talk about, if you're a costumer, talk about all kinds of things of what you're looking for on auditions and things like that. Or what your experiences were. I know you got stuff to say, people. You're actors. You're creatives. We aren't quiet. But anyway, so, and if you like this video, definitely leave us a like. Do all those things that we always ask you to do. We always ask you to do these things. I'm sure if by now you haven't done it, you won't do it. But if you're still considering it, do it. I'm telling you the truth.
And doing it. You're getting really aggressive.
They've already done it. Or they better do it, or I'm looking at you.
Aggressive. All right, well
it's the truth. I'm getting honest and real, people. I ain't afraid.
We're excited to see you next week. And
I'm scared.
Always, have a good week, everybody. See you for some live reactions.